I thought I'd start the new year by showing you how I create some of my cartoons and illustrations. I use a digital pad. This is the Wacom Intuos Pro, the small version. The drawing area is 6 inches across by 4 inches down, and it is hooked to my PC wirelessly, and you draw on the pad itself, but you see what you're drawing on the PC. Isn't that awesome? It takes a little bit of time to get used to, but once you get used to it, it's just like using a regular pen and paper. Now it's time to do a simple drawing. First, I've opened my software Corel Painter 2016, which is the software I use to create, illustrate, paint, and do all those other magical things that we can do with our Wacom pad. So let's start a new project, and I've got it at 6.4 by 4.8. You can set up as pixels, inches or whatever you want, and I've got it at 300 dpi. Now this setting is high enough so you can actually print this out and it will look good, or you can downsize it and set it up for the web. This panel on the left here is all the tools that you'll use. I won't get into them now. There's way too many, but they're all, take my word for it, they're all very valuable and they do a great job. I'm going to go down to the magnifier and I'm going to enlarge the drawing area, and I'm going to start by using, believe it or not, I'm a pencil guy, so I love pencils, so I'll use a pencil to do my illustration. And before I start that, I'll go over here, and this is the layers panel. Now think of layers as tracing paper. Even when I was using paper and pen or whatever, I would use a transparent paper and start with a real rough and then build on it until I ended up with a finished drawing. And this is the same concept. So let's create a new layer, which is our illustration layer, which you can rename this if you want. I always have good intentions of doing that, never get around to it. So after I get about 10-15 layers, it's a guessing game, but shame on me. All right, let's go to my chosen tool, which is a pencil. Still love that old pencil. And let's rough this in. And the first layer is a rough, and I'm usually not real picky with how it looks because this is not the finished product yet. So that's the rough layer. Now I'm going to add another layer, and I'm going to go back to this layer number 1, and I'm going to drop the opacity down. Opacity, is that how you say it? Whatever. So that you can see what you're doing on the next layer. So on this layer, I'm going to fine tune it a little more. And this is fairly simple, so we won't have to do a lot of layers here, and for our purposes, it doesn't have to be perfect. Which, one of the first things is that all of us as artists should get rid of that perfect word anyways. Now again, if you remember, I am drawing on my Wacom pad, but I am looking at my screen to see what I'm actually drawing. It sounds a little tough, but you'll get used to it. So now, I look at this and it's not bad. Let's go back to the first layer and I can trash that now. So this isn't bad. There's a few fine tuning things that have to be done, but you've also got an eraser here, which has different settings. This is a size and this is a transparency. So now, chin's a little wonky, so let's go down here and erase this. Let's go back to the brush and right here. And that's more like my double chin. So we've done our outline. Now the next step is let's add some color. Again, add a layer. And one of the things you want to do is I'm going to use watercolor, so it doesn't make as much difference. But if you're using a solid color or anything, you always want to make sure your illustration layer is on the top so you can see the lines, because you may cover them up. Also, when you're adding color, you want to make sure that your brush is large enough so you don't get that scrubbing effect. And I'll show you right now. So let's go to our color wheel, and we'll add, let's make this a little redder, a little flesh tone. And this is your brush size. Let's go, we have to change to a watercolor brush, which go down here to watercolor, and let's go to I guess we can use this. Now let's make our brush large enough, so we're going to, and it's got a nice tan. So if you notice, I'm not real worried about going outside the lines. The main thing is you don't want to make your brush too small or you get that scruffy effect. So why am I not concerned? Well, I go over to this eraser tool and I can fine tune it now. There. A few bad spots, but we'll carry on. Now what I'm going to do now is make another layer on top of this. And if I pick the brush again, it's at 56% of opacity. So if I increase this a little bit and drop down my brush size, I can do some shadowing here. Isn't that neat? How's that? So the next step is let's finish coloring him in. Let's go to another layer, go to our color wheel, and we'll pick a blue for my Yankees. They aren't purple. They are blue. Let's try that. That's a nice blue. So again, I'll increase my brush size a little bit. Boom. Boom. And let's, for quickness, let's make a shirt too. Again, we'll go to the eraser tool. And we'll make this a little bigger. Oh, that's pretty cool. And again, if we want to do some shadowing, let's make another layer. And we'll go to our brush tool again. And that we'll drop this down in size. So now you can do some shadowing there. Voila! Let's just put some there. Again, if you want to do this right and you're really organized and anal, you'll name these, but after a while you just say the hell with it and you just guess after a while if you have to go back to any layer. So let's make this a brown here. And our tool, yep, don't do that. We want our eraser. Very cool. Now let's brighten this up a little bit. Let's go with that's pretty cool. Let's put a background in. And I will go here. That's too big. And I'll go to my eraser tool. And so let's make this a bit smaller. Going. And voila! We're done with this simple drawing. As you go along, I just want to remind everybody, especially you new artists, get rid of that word perfect. Every art piece is a masterpiece. You just do the best you can, and there's no right, no wrong. Just enjoy yourself, and you might want to explore doing some digital art. So thank you. Enjoy and keep coloring the world.